Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I am Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security and the attorney at Joy Disability. You're about to see what should be a question and answer format type of chat from our live session on a particular topic that we find that a lot of people keep asking about. So I'm sharing it here. If there are pieces that could have been added that weren't added during the live, because there's a kind of a fast-paced Q&A that we do every Wednesday at 1 p.m. You might just find that I added something to the end of it to give it a little more clarity and a little more details for those that are interested in that particular topic. So check to see if that's at the end. Otherwise, enjoy the video. Bye-bye. Dio says, my current physical therapist keeps putting in her notes that I'm improving. Last time ALJ noted that. What should I do? Well, you're expected to improve a little bit in PT. And I get the sense, and I've heard this from mental health therapists also, that if you're not improving it at all, they got to cut you loose. So this is just what I've heard. Do your own due diligence, not legal advice. It's just, so, a little improvement is not the worst thing in the world. If you're still got significant limitations, it doesn't mean you can still have significant limitations and they could have improved something, like your range of motion is 10 degrees more, you know what I mean? Or something. Or you're not as in pain after each session as you have been. So there's different ways to look at improvement. But I do think, I hate to say it, it's kind of like a political thing. They almost kind of have to say it or else they have to cut them loose because insurance won't cover it. Well, PT is obviously not working for them, so not doing a thing. So we're not paying for it anymore. And now you have no PT, which may be something you're glad from a physical point of view, but from a legal evidence point of view, she still has to put your limitations, because if you were perfectly fit as a fiddle, she wouldn't keep giving you PT either. So what else does it say in those records? And there's not really too much you can do about what she says, unless you find that she's not noting, like maybe she doesn't ask you about your pain after last session, but you were like out for the count till the next morning with soreness, or the next morning you had the soreness, whatever it is, and that's not something she asked about. Some of them do. I've seen it in records. I think it's important. You could tell her and see if it gets in the record. If she still doesn't put it in, or you can not just tell her, but you can also, I don't know if you have a portal where you can message her after the session each time. I'd be like, telling her, let's say you have PT every third day, and not the day you get out, you're exhausted maybe, and you want to be honest. You don't want to be, exaggerating anything. But let's say you were very sore the following day. Just want to let you know about, the second day after, I had a really hard time moving around without a lot of soreness and discomfort. But by the third day, I was almost back to baseline or whatever. But whatever your reality is, that's another way to get it into the record if they don't write down what you say. And that is a huge gripe on my part, is that they don't often write down what you say. I mean, not PT specifically. I think they they seem almost to be better. But like MAs and the nurse practitioners or whoever's, usually it's the MAs now, and the nurse practitioners are like the doctors, right, in all of our doctors' offices. But they are often not as detailed, And with the default system of the computer programs that they use, everything is within normal limits unless they say otherwise. And if they just want to click on the one thing they heard from you when you said 3, the 2 are completely normal and fine. And so there's some things that I gripe about a lot, that hopefully the medical profession will get a little more on top of. It's been going on a long time, I would say, as long as I've been doing this. I do appreciate the computerized system, though. I will say I like the fact that the portals are there, and that newer law a few years ago where the providers have to put up their progress notes. That was very invaluable to me. And they're helpful in other ways, not just getting test results fast, MRIs, I love my MRIs, but also confirming what visits actually took place, because sometimes the client will forget to tell me about a visit, and I like to know about every single visit. So yeah, kind of like that. Welcome to All Things Social Security. Enjoy your video. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Let's talk about physical therapy and what those records can do for your case. I bring this up because, as some of you might know, I'm a huge fan of physical therapy records. I know physical therapy is kind of a nightmare sometimes for people to go to. Some physical therapists are better than others, but I do find that the vast majority of the time, the records can be really, really telling. And the beauty of them is that you get 12, 18, 24, 36 sessions, separate days of observation by a professional with notes as to specifically your functioning, your strength, your pain level upon activity. It's can be really valuable. And to get that amount of professional observation of you put into a medical record, if it was your specialist doing it, the orthopedist that referred you to the PT, how long would it take to get 36 appointments? A couple decades, maybe. Do you know what I'm saying? So PT could be a wonderful way of filling in a gap, adding to what the orthopedist, or it could be a neurologist, or it could be a primary care. But you know me, I'm all about having all of the above. If you can feasibly get it, I think it makes for a stronger case, a better credentialed medical provider in the specific area that you have a problem with. Orthopedics, for instance, is, as I see it, of more weight than a family doctor or general practitioner. But they too are very valuable and necessary. So this came up because a wonderful viewer, thank you, Tyler, said, what did he say? I always invite people to, ask questions or throw in comments on any video they're watching. If a comment comes to their head about something else, Social Security, disability, or evidence related, or anything Social Security related, just so they don't forget it and they can get it in there, because I do get to all the comments. Not always the same day. Sometimes if they suddenly are hidden from me, I might not see them for a week. But so this one was actually found on a mental health video, but the person wanted me to make a video explaining why going to physical therapy hurts your claim. And of course, I couldn't do that, right? So his point was, and so I wanted to explain it after he learned that I love PT records, because we were interacting on the post, on the comment section. And he said, but you lose disability if you improve. So if physical therapy serves its purpose, you'll lose your benefits. That is really not true in reality. I've never seen improvement from physical therapy for someone who's disabled cause them to lose their benefits or lose their camp claim. So let me explain further. I did give him a little blurb in the typed format on the comment section with him, but I wanted to share it to the rest of you. Physical therapy is supposed to get you to improve, and hopefully it will. Most people, well, I will say the people whose cases I take are disabled with impairments that I already know are not subject to improving enough to go back to work full time. It's after a complete analysis, of course. If you just were in an accident and you have some whiplash and you're going to go get physical therapy and you're not disabled from all 12,000 jobs for at least 12 months, of course you're not going to win your case. But it's not because of the physical therapy. It's because you're not meeting the standard of definition required to get paid cash benefits under the SSD program or the SSI program. All right. So, of course, we hope PT causes improvement. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people have to actually quit because it's hurting and it's not helping. Sometimes the referring doctor will pull them back from it, or they will complain to him and then he will do that. And some people just quit on their own. I don't recommend that way, but I do understand it if it's causing great pain, except that if you have not been communicating that pain well at the time to the physical therapist, then it's going to be your claim and nothing else. And knowing that people really abhor sometimes going to physical therapy, it's inconvenient, it doesn't feel good. Sometimes the physical therapist isn't really doing much on you and you're doing it all, and you really just want to have a better coach than that. But so if that happens, you definitely want to speak to the issue with your doctor and have them officially cancel your PT is my recommendation. That being said, let's move on about this whole issue about when it could hurt you. If your PT renders you so improved that you can go back to work, assuming you were previously not in that vein of that likely happening, then isn't that a great thing? I mean, if you can have a far greater quality of life, far greater improvement, and go back to work, I mean, that is the goal, isn't it, of everybody, to be a healthier, viable, quality of life, self-sufficient contributor to one's own needs of sustaining themselves, right? And their families, of course. In experience, physical therapy records are great for what they provide. When someone is truly with a permanent type of impairment, they can help him feel better. Sometimes it's something they have to do periodically, but rarely do I see in a case that's truly disabled, if ever have I seen physical therapy do the job of making them improved enough to be able to do a job that they are held accountable for doing under the Social Security disability rules. And what jobs that entails will depend on if they're over 50 and under 50, whether or not they have some of the applicable medical vocational rules that they can rely on also, because that does carve out a whole section of jobs irrespective of some of that improvement. Remember, mere improvement doesn't mean you can go back and do all those jobs that you're held accountable for. It just means you're improved somewhat. Sometimes it'll be a 5% improvement. That doesn't mean that that puts in any jobs, right? So I stand by it, guys. Physical therapy records are really, really helpful. And I have people that have, they've had some physical therapy on their lumbar. They've also had physical therapy separately, sometimes at the same time, but on different days. It's kind of weird, but sometimes it's like a 3-month course of lumbar, and then 3 months later they start one for cervical, because they have these really kind of up and down problems with their spine, as confirmed by their specialists. The records really are invaluable. Not only do they show that you're still having a problem, whereas if you had that whole 6 months or 8 months without a doctor visit, because the doctor only gives you an appointment every 8 months, say the orthopedist, then what are you going to have in between to show that it still continues? You're going to have nothing. So I suggest you consider physical therapy in a positive light from a legal perspective. Obviously, it's positive, generally speaking, from a medical perspective, but I'm talking only legal here because that's the only kind of expertise I have. So I'll leave the medical findings to the medical experts. So thank you again, Tyler, for bringing that up, because I'm always babbling about physical therapy. You should see my clients. They roll their eyes at me. I think they are anyway. I don't really see them. I just message with them, and I could feel the verbal. Every time I nag them about physical therapy, it might be my paranoia, but I sense a little eye roll, like, here she goes again. But anyway, it's my job, so I keep on my people. Anyway, you guys, I don't know when this is coming out. We are heading into Christmas, and I hope you are all having a wonderful Christmas season. And if I don't know, if you get this after the New Year, I hope your New Year is going to be fabulous and all good things for all of you. God bless.